of their king and the leaders at the word of the Lord. And Hezekiah gave encouragement to all the Levites, and he taught good knowledge of the Lord. And in the following chapter, in 2 Chronicles chapter 31, we read, "Then Hezekiah did what was good and right and true before the Lord his God, and in every work that he began in the service of the house of God, and in the law and the commandment to seek his God, he did it with all of his heart, and he prospered." And the next 10 or 15 years in Judah were among the happiest years in the history of Judah. But when Hezekiah turned 39, everything changed. It says in Isaiah 38, verse 1, that in those days Hezekiah was sick and near death. And Isaiah the prophet, the son of Amos, went to him and said, "Thus says the Lord, set your house in order, for you shall die and not live." That's like the oncologist coming out after the examination and saying to you, "You got 6 months. Your disease is inoperable. It's terminal. There's no hope." That was the sentence that was given to Hezekiah. Now, Hezekiah is an illustration of what people do when something like that happens. We've seen the probable encounters with disease, and we've looked at some primary examples. But now I want you to notice the painful emotions of disease in Hezekiah's response. What would you do when you first heard that? Well, you would do exactly what he did. If you're a Christian, he prayed. It says in Isaiah 38, 1-3, "In those days Hezekiah was sick and near death, and he turned his face toward the wall, and he prayed to the Lord, and he said, 'Remember now, O Lord, I pray, how I have walked before you in truth with a loyal heart, and have done what is good in your sight.' And he wept bitterly." A horror swept over Hezekiah like a dark and biting wind. And he turned his face toward the wall, and he cried out to God for healing. His sick bed was soaked with sweat and tears as grief overwhelmed him. In fact, in Isaiah, we have the words of his prayer. I don't really think I ever saw this before or recognized it for what it was. It is a poetic description of his disease and his inner fears, and it's written in a classic way in medical psychology. I actually took these words and I found Eugene Peterson's paraphrase in the Message, and I'm going to put them up on the screen. This is the exact, these are the words of his prayer. See if it doesn't sound like something you would pray, perhaps updated to our language today. Here was his prayer. "In the very prime of life, I have to leave. Whatever time I have left is spent in death's waiting room. No more glimpses of God in the land of the living.